Badass Attitudes, licensed here. A podcast for successful badassery with Kelly Orchard. Certifying badasses, one podcast at a time.
That is right. I am certifying badasses one podcast at a time. You know, I'm already on the bus to Badassville. That's right. This is my last final podcast from Georgetown, Texas, from this little trailer. Actually, it's not a little trailer. It's quite large, actually. According to my son-in-law, it's 32 feet long. It's a Wanderer, and it's been very cozy and very quaint for me this past month, literally, that I've been here. It's been the exact. I have accomplished what I intended to do. And what I intended to do on my time out here in Texas, working remotely, which I did. I managed to continue to do my podcasts. I've been working with my clients in psychotherapy and some coaching. I have created a plan for my Badass Summer program to recalibrate your mental health. And I have also done a lot of therapeutic little interventions for myself. Meanwhile, spent quality time with my family and got to know my new little grandson, Emmett, who is now, well, not until the 18th will he be 2 months old. So I've been able to spend, from 4 weeks to 8 weeks with this little boy and seeing some of the growth that he is experiencing already. He's going to be tall, let me tell you. His dad is tall. His dad is 6'2". So I think that little Emmett, who is the spitting image of his father, it's uncanny to look at this little man's face and say, oh my gosh, you are the spitting image of your dad. So anticipating that this little man is going to be pretty significantly tall. He is a big boy. As far as that goes, he's not chunky. He's thin, but he's long. So anyway, me gushing, yes, of course, over my fifth grandchild. I know most people, in fact, all people that I meet, especially when you meet me in person, you cannot believe that I'm a grandmother, and especially a grandmother of 5. It's like, well, I'm not giving birth to all 5 of these kids, so it's my daughters who are doing that, and I love that. I am the youthful grandmother in my crowd, and I'm thrilled by that. I love it when people say, I cannot believe you have grandchildren. Well, my grandchildren are very fortunate, I suppose, then because they're like, they become my little playmates. I've told you that I do lately, the last couple of years, a family dance party video. And I posted a few pictures of some of the antics that Finley and Olivia and I enjoyed last week, Friday, in downtown Georgetown. And, kind of using a little creative process here. I've always been involved in music and radio promotions and production and commercials and creative ideas for promotions in radio and, a dancer and a choreographer. And so I've just transitioned all of these experiences and knowledge and passion and technology expertise into creating little dance party videos with my grandchildren. So, and it came by accident, so I show up here and, and Finley is 5. So his memory is still, sort of, I call it Swiss cheese. He doesn't have a lot of recollection of things. And so sharing with him the videos that have already been done that he's appeared in. And he starts asking me, how long have you been doing these videos? And I explained to him, well, this is the first one that you're looking at right here, just a couple of years ago. And it all started because we were having a Granbury sleepover over Thanksgiving weekend in 2020. And my oldest granddaughter, Reagan, and her sister, Heidi, wanted to do a music video with dress-up changes because I have all these dress-up clothes. And me and my daughter and my son-in-law, we were all sitting around. We had nothing better to do. And we're like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And so we created our own little film crew, and the girls did wardrobe changes, and we changed scenes from one part in the backyard to another portion of the backyard to the living room to the front yard. And they changed their clothes, and we had fun. And it just kind of prompted this ongoing theme. So this year is our 3rd year that we're now doing a dance party video. So I got some footage in downtown Georgetown, but last month I got some footage with Reagan and Heidi in Old Town Temecula. And so it's basically combining the geography and dance parties and having a dance duel or a dance challenge that they address during the video. And so it's just been a fun, creative project. And that's what I wanted to share today about that sometimes badass needs to know when to quit. And I know that the title hopefully got your attention, because who's going to encourage people to just quit? Well, what I mean is you got to quit the self-sabotaging behaviors. If you want to recalibrate your mental health, some of these things you've got to let go of that hold you back. And those are the self-sabotaging behaviors, and you know what I'm talking about. You don't need me to spell it out for you. I've been working with my clients all this entire time, so I've not abandoned them. And so I know what's going on out there, and I'm still reading in the news, about the great resignation and how businesses are trying to figure out how to hire, retain and train in the new environment and adjusting to remote work or the new, whatever it is. And then you've got all the political dramas going on. You name your topic of choice today. I ask my clients, so what's going on in the world for you news-wise? And believe me, every client will have a different passionate topic that they'll be following. And from my perspective, hard to keep up, honestly. I have my own interests, of course, but some of mine aren't relevant or significant to somebody else's. And so, that's why the focus on your mental health is where we're at, because your mental health really does matter. I've had some email replies and responses to my recent email campaign that I've been sending out in social media posts about recalibrating your mental health, and I've got a program that I'm recruiting for and enrolling right now for summer. But I really want a limited amount of people. I'm not trying to make this where you're going to be in a group with 100 and you're not going to feel that you're getting any attention from me for your successful badassery. I only want 5 to 10 people. And the whole thing is why would you want to quit? What do you need to quit? Well, a badass knows when to quit. A badass knows when something is not working. Now, I'm not suggesting right now you quit your job or you quit your relationship or you quit a healthy lifestyle. What I'm suggesting is that you quit the behaviors. You quit the monkey mind. You quit the negative thought patterns that are sabotaging how you're going to pull yourself up and out of this. Last week on the podcast, I talked about the importance of recalibration in radio broadcast transmissions. Why do engineers need to do this? Why do they need to go and recalibrate how the transmitter is transmitting? Well, because it automatically, it's like gravitational pull. It'll get off course. It'll get off shift. And I always tell my clients, when my clients are feeling they have that downward slope, we're working on depression and anxiety, and then they'll have a dip and they'll feel unmotivated and they'll feel defeated, or they'll feel back at, like they've had a fall, they've fallen backwards. Once again, it's peaks and valleys. And once you're on the path towards improvement, part of the process is understanding and having that awareness that we're going to have those low points as well. And then what do? Well, you can keep self-sabotaging yourself with the old behaviors that got you stuck there in the first place, or you can remember the tools that help you pull yourself out of that well of depression and loneliness and sadness, and you use those tools to get yourself recalibrated. Because what happens when we get off track, when we let our thoughts run away with us and get lost, it's like gravity. It just pulls us down. Gravity is so easy. I don't understand the law of gravity, and I don't think physicists do either. It just is, and it's a force. And when you think about it, it's like everything's forced downward, and that's the easy way to go. So your mood and your thoughts it's automatic. You're born with it, just like the laws of nature. How you do is you build it up. You build yourself a ladder or an elevator, or you get yourself a rope or a shovel to dig out, whatever tool works for you. But sometimes you need to know when to quit. And that's what today's podcast is about, is knowing when you need to quit. Maybe it's a plan that's no longer working or serving you. That's something that I've had to reflect upon, or not had to, something that I have chosen to reflect upon. Notice the difference in language there. While I've been here in Texas, I've pulled myself away from my day-to-day life in Temecula, my home, my office, my personal space, my friendships, my socialization, everything, pulled myself away deliberately so that I could gain some fresh perspective. And it's been very, very helpful. What do I do? What are the tools that I employ while I do this? Well, I journal a lot. I pray. I read devotionals. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks. And why the audiobooks? Because I've taken up kind of like an artistic, creative journaling process, almost like bullet journaling. But that's not what I'm doing. But the coloring and the artistic things while I'm listening to audiobooks have been very therapeutic. But what are the audiobooks that I'm listening to? New passions, new interests, intellectual. You're stretching my intellect. And it's been a fascinating journey. But meanwhile, it's also sort of helping me to shed the light on the things that I need to discard, things I need to quit. Some of my behavior patterns that, okay, it served me well then, but it's not going to serve me well when I return. So I'm going to shift that. So as I was preparing to get on this podcast today, and I knew who I was talking to, which is you, Badass, because you keep coming back. Thank you. And you share it too. And I wanted you to know that, hey, it's okay to quit. It's okay to quit something that's no longer serving you, no longer working. Maybe the plans that you had made 2 years ago, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel to make that happen anymore because the world has completely shifted. It's not what it was 2 years ago, And so the question is, are you ready for the seismic shift in your work and in your life? Have you prepared? Some habits can be helpful, new mental health habits. And I've got that with my Badass Habits ebook. I got an email from a response from a friend, from another certified badass, I will tell you, that said that this one really hit home when I was talking about that burnout was at the top of concern in life, even before the pandemic. And then our lives turned topsy-turvy. But times are tough all over, and therapists and counselors are in short supply these days. So maybe you need a little bit of help, but you can't find a therapist, or you don't have time to go. Maybe it's not really therapy that you need, but you could use some new tools in your toolbox to navigate all the shifts in our lives these days. So what are some of the most common signs of depression? A persistent, depressed, low mood. It's natural to feel down from time to time. How about a loss of interest in things you once enjoyed? Yeah, this pandemic has been brutal on our mental health, and sometimes we lose interest in things that we used to love. Or in this case, we weren't able to do the things that we used to love, and now we're having a hard time getting back into that routine or back into that rhythm. What about feelings of worthlessness? Like whatever you tried you're failing at. It's just not working. How about poor concentration or thoughts of harming yourself? These are the 5 most common signs of depression, and it's what I see pretty regularly. I'm a proponent of managing your mental health as much as you would manage your physical health, your relationship health, and your business health. So when struggling from burnout, it's time to nourish your soul. And I've got that step-by-step plan for you. I've been doing it here in Georgetown, and so I do know of what I speak, and I don't teach you anything that I haven't tried myself. So all I've done is put together the tools that worked for me after my heart failure, after my life was completely derailed. I lost my career, my home, my health. Meanwhile, a single mom raising teenagers, all at the same time. Did it happen overnight how I rebuilt my life and became something completely different than what I was back then? No. But I will tell you that the tools that I have collected and put in my toolbox Well, my hope for you is that it won't take you as long. So I was on a search. I was seeking. I was learning. I was finding ways that worked for me. That's why I discovered heart math, which is the heart math technique about that heart coherence and heart rate variability, getting your heart under control with your thoughts and emotions, which helps reduce the negative impact on the hormones that are secreted through your body when you are experiencing stress. Wow. Well, when I learned about it, it was very familiar to me, because that's kind of how radio broadcast transmission works. And I understood that after years in radio, specifically spending time around engineers. My dad's an engineer, and for 20 years we were FCC compliance inspectors, and specifically that's who our clients were the engineers. I don't claim to be an engineer. Please, no, I don't. But I do know quite a bit more than the general person, and I do have a good broad knowledge. And, in FCC compliance, all I needed to know was what they needed to do, and then to be able to express that with authority. Because, like my dad used to say, engineers will know they're smarter than you. So don't let them get the upper hand, which is very true. They are usually the smartest person in the room, but that doesn't mean that they have emotional intelligence. Let's not throw everybody else under the bus here. But anyway, so part of the Badass program is, the easy step-by-step plan for you, starting with the B in Badass. The B in Badass means to be yourself as you be bold and be brave and be confident. And I teach you not only how to be yourself, but the ways that you're different and unique. And I encourage you to dive in and really discover who you are. So if you don't know what kind of help you need, and if you're not really sure which direction you want to go, and maybe you've had some failures, or you made a plan that's not working, but you don't want to give up on it, I'm here to tell you it's time to quit. And I don't mean quit what you're doing. Just quit the behaviors that are sabotaging your success. Really. Because some of those things that you're holding on to that no longer serve you are holding you back, but you're holding on to it with a death grip, as if I can't let this one go. And so I want you to give yourself permission to quit. Sometimes it is quitting on a dream that is just not even achievable. For example, I always dreamed of dancing on Broadway. But you know what? That's not a dream that's ever going to be achievable for me for numerous reasons. First of all, I don't want to go live in New York and be poor. I'm too old for this now. My body's not the same as it was when I was 18, clearly. And it's a dream I've had to let go of. Did it mean I quit dancing? Did it mean I quit loving that whole idea of the theater? No. So you see what I mean? Some dreams you need to let go of. You can't just keep holding on to it. Now, if I had dreamed of being an actor or an actress, well, okay, so here's my thing. I've always dreamed of being a published author. I am one. I have been published. I have 5 books. My 6th book, I keep teasing it. It's no longer with my editor. I have like 3 little edits I need to do, and then we can start formatting it and designing the cover for it. Well, I've been busy. But it is on my plate for when I return home. That is one of the things I'm going to start tackling is that. I'm also going to work on some things to switch up the apple a day. It's time for apples to have a new logo. And I think we're going to switch to a red apple, changing from the green apple. Why? Because, I have the red in B.A.D.A.S.S and the red Mustang and the red truck. And it makes sense that I have a red apple. So, and kind of, we have to integrate and marry and recalibrate some of my branding. And this is part of my process. I have to quit hanging on to some of the things that are no longer working, and so, without getting so personal with you about my personal life, I just wanted to share that with you. And it's okay to quit. It's okay to quit. But we aren't talking about quitting on your life. We're not talking about quitting on your dreams. We aren't talking about quitting on moving forward. We're talking about quitting self-sabotage, quitting being defeated, quitting allowing yourself to just not do anything because you don't know what to do. How about we quit on being stuck? You can perform an emotional audit of your life with my Badass program. And it's happening this summer. And why should you work with me? Well, if you know my work and think I might be able to help, then yes, you should work with me. Otherwise, trying to sell you is a huge waste of time for both of us, and I'm not interested in hustling anyone. However, not working with me can be pretty expensive too. I remember a long time ago, somebody offered me their program for free and then encouraged that in order to be able to, enroll people, you should offer it for free. Well, my experience has been in both ways, that if you offer something for free, it has zero value. And when something has zero value, you're not committed to it. How much is your mental health worth? How much is improving your life worth? I know the world is still topsy-turvy and completely crazy and upside down. I am not oblivious to it. I'm just not going to talk about the specifics right here, because that's not why you come here. You come here for, some successful badassery and to know how you can improve your life. And hopefully what I'm doing is always giving you some sort of hints and tips. Of course, I love my Kelly Orchard's Apple of Day, and I would love for you to subscribe to that and go have a listen, catch up. They're a minute. Well, okay, some of them are a little longer than a minute. I've had to do a lot of editing to make them appropriate for radio, because radio needs them to be only 60 seconds. And that's been a fun project. I will tell you, it's like adding stations all the time. I really have no idea how many people are being exposed to Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day, daily nourishment for wisdom, success, and personal growth. I have no idea. I publish them on a podcast right here, same platform that you're listening to this podcast, so you can go look for it. But it's also airing on radio stations, I want to say all over the world, because it is on other islands that are not in the contiguous United States. But they are. It's like from Alaska and Hawaii to Guam, and I think even the Dominican Republic, and everywhere in between. And I want to thank my radio friends for airing them, and invite any other my radio friends out there who are catching the podcast to air these also. It's been a lot of fun watching it grow and expand, but that's one of the things that I know that I needed to do. And so some of the things I needed to quit were, some of these activities that were no longer serving me. So I'm making some shifts when I return back home to California as my trip here in Texas winds down, so a little bit of, I'm going to wind down now, but as I close the podcast, I want you to give yourself permission to quit the self-sabotaging behavior, quit the quitting, quit these feeling self-defeated, pull yourself up out of that doldrum. And you don't have to run and hustle, and you don't have to work really hard. You just got to take one tiny step at a time. It does not need to be overwhelming. My goal is to help you reduce the feelings of overwhelm. I have. And believe me, it's very, very freeing when you simplify. And so, the Badass program for the summer is definitely going to help you learn how to simplify, identify what's the most important thing to you, and focus on that, and then develop a plan to get there. My plan is, I've loved this remote working. This is as I'm going to close. I have loved working remotely. I still love seeing my clients face to face. So I know that I can balance that. And I will balance that. So in the future, I do believe trailer life is for me. I want to acquire a trailer that I can make my home and my home office, and be able to work remotely at least 6 months out of the year, but still be home 6 months out of the year, and be able to, sometimes my office is at the beach, or sometimes my office is in Sedona, or sometimes my office is in the mountains, or at, some crazy river location. I don't know. Thankfully, since I live in California, it's easy to get to all those places. So it's okay to step out of your comfort zone and move forward. And that sometimes means you got to quit something. You got to quit what you're hanging on to. Untether, unmoored, unanchored. And that will give you the freedom to soar. And these are some of the lessons that this badass is picking up along the way. and hopefully helpful for you, because I know as I learn, I just teach. And I've been in a teaching mode for so many years, because years before that I was in a learning mode, and I'd learned enough and it was time for me to teach. Well, I've been teaching for quite some time, and now it's time for me to learn again. And so I am learning things, different things, and following my own intellectual passions. And I want to encourage you to do the same. But what is that? If you don't know, I'll help you figure that out. So all you got to do is, have a conversation with me. So we're going to put the link to schedule a call with me in the show notes today, because I don't need you to download the Badass Habits. I'll send it to you directly after we've had that conversation. So click the link in the show notes today to schedule a call with me next week, and let's find out how we can get you on the bus to successful badassery for the rest of the year. And just know that we'll do an emotional audit. Yeah, an emotional audit of your life so that you can recalibrate your successful badassery. Your mental health has got to be your top priority. So whoever is listening to this right now, if you're a business owner, I'm talking about you, not your whole business. Don't think about this as a coaching program for your team. However, it could be. We could talk about that separately. But I'm talking about individuals who know that it's time for them to take it personal. It's not business. It's personal. Your personal mental health has got to be the most important thing, and some things you just can no longer hang on to. So I want you to give yourself permission to quit. Quit what is no longer working. And that usually means the self-sabotaging behavior. And sometimes that means clinging to the things that are no longer serving us, whether it's a dream, a business, a relationship, or just an attitude or a behavior. Those are the things that we need to really focus on right now. So thanks so much for joining me on the bus to Badassville today. I will be back in California the next time I podcast for you with an update on the road trip. I'll tell you. So this has been a really fun trip. Including, sadly, a little bit of bad luck for my family over here. But I was joking with them is that I've been over here shedding some negative energy, and I think that they have attracted the negative energy that I've been shedding, and so it's time for them to shed the negative energy that I sort of shed onto them, I suppose. You know what they say about shedding. So anyway, have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me, and take it away, Mr. Ocean.
When the bus arrives at Badassville, you discover it's not a place, it's a state of being. Snag your Badass Habits ebook. Get started on your badass journey. Go to licensedtobebadass.com. Hop on the bus to Badassville.